Seconde Morte, or Deadbeat Second, or a more friendly name Jumping Second. That's how Habring called this complication, and it will be our fourth Montre de Souscription. In this video I'll tell you more about the Jumping Second hand that ticks like a quartz watch. I'll tell you about Maria and Richard Habring, about their own workshop in Austria, their self-development movement, and our new limited edition Habring MDS4 and how that came to life, which is quite a story. First of all, our fourth Montre de Souscription is based on the Habring Airwin, which is a time-only watch with a jumping second hand. Since we call our limited edition Montre de Souscription, we felt that it should read Seconde Morte on the dial, which is French for jumping seconds. The case is entirely brushed, giving the watch a tool watch look. That's also why we opted for a stepped bezel, which is of course also brushed. The case is the standard size for Habring, measuring 38.5mm in diameter, which to me is just perfect. Not too small and certainly not too big, hitting that sweet spot for the dimension. The watch is 9mm thick and lug to lug is 45.6mm. The decision to put Seconde Morte on the dial might just have been the easiest design choice. Well, Breeze and I love old Omega chronometers, and we wanted to create such a design with even numerals and either a dot or an empty space between the numerals. So it became a long ping pong between Richard Habring, and the two of us to decide on numerous design details. Long story short, we received the prototype and we were not convinced. It needed to have a little bit more elegance, maybe not again a salmon dial. I would love to have a bit more monochrome approach with a black dial. Somehow during one of the long Instagram doom scroll sessions I stumbled across an account that showed a few dial designs. And one of the dial designs was exactly what I had in mind, but somehow I couldn't get it on a piece of paper. So I contacted the person and explained to him who we were, what we're doing or trying to do, and if he would like to be involved as a designer. Funny enough, that person was Pietro, who works at Time & Tide Watches. What are the chances? Anyways, Pietro agreed and he wanted to be involved. And what followed was again an intense period of getting all the details right. Length, width of all the smallest details on the dial have been discussed back and forth. And again, and again. The length of 0.8mm for a second indication crossing the rail track, which has a width of 0.10mm itself. At the 5-minute point, the marker crossing the rail track is slightly longer as a 0.12mm width. Yep, details. This is our final design and we absolutely love it. I feel that this design really combines the iconic looks of older Omega chronometers that we were looking for and add a lot of refinement. The glossy black dial features a silver white print of all the indications for hours, minutes and seconds. The Roman numerals and the custom designed diamond shaped markers between the numerals are applied. This adds for more refinement, almost a bit of Art Deco style. Engraved in the caseback is monochrome and Habring, and of course that this is our fourth Montre de Souscription. We plan to sell 33 maximum. All these pieces will be numbered. Sapphire crystal in the caseback gives a good view on the A11S movement. The centrally positioned second gear, which drives the second hand, is locked and released by a spring-loaded regulator. And this way you can exactly observe how the second hand is not the usual smooth sweeping second hand that is so recognizable from mechanical watches. Besides all the above, it's also a lovely and discreet way to wear a mechanical watch without anyone noticing it. Way back in the 1980s and the 1990s, Richard Habring worked at IWC. A certain Mr. Bloomline, CEO of IWC, Gégé Lecoultre, and behind the resurrection of A. Lange & Söhne, he challenged Richard to make a simplified, commercially viable split-second chronograph. You see, back in the day, if you wanted to buy a rattrapante or a split-second chronograph, that meant a pair of column wheels and a complex and fragile movement, and as you can imagine, a pretty high price. What Richard did was to create a simple, easy to assemble, easy to adjust and reliable version of the rattrapante based on the Valjoux 7750. The genius idea was to get rid of the complex and sensitive column wheels and replace them by the pair of cams. This meant parts were much easier to produce and assemble. This solution, later patented by IWC, would be used in multiple watches from the brand, such as the Pilot Doppelchronograph 3711 or the Portuguese Rattrapante Chronograph 3712. two of the coolest neo-vintage watches from the brand if you ask me. In 1996 Richard Habring left IWC to start a career as a consultant. In 2001 he married Maria Habring, and the two decided not only to be life partners but also partners in work. In 2004 the couple created the watchmaking company named Habring². For Maria and Richard presented a watch that would later become a classic for the brand, with a rather unusual complication, a jumping second. Back then, the watch was powered by a restored vintage César movement from the 1960s with a central deadbeat second or Seconde Morte. Of course, I could tell you more about how Habring went on to manufacture the watches with complications like a chronograph, a monopusher, a double split, a crown-operated system, a foudroyant, etc. But let's fast forward to 2014 when Habring introduced Felix. To be clear, that's the name of a watch, and to be precise, the watch in which Habring's first self-developed movement was introduced, Calibre A11. The A stands for Austria, where the couple was born, raised and now have their own workshop. 11 stands for 2011, the year when the development of their own movement started. The construction of this movement still relies on the architecture and the gear train of the 7750, however, major improvements have been made to this base. First of all, most components of the A11 are exclusively to Habring and have nothing to do with ETA anymore. One of the reasons behind the creation of the A11 was to become independent, so parts are either made in-house in Austria or sourced from nearby partners in Germany, Switzerland and Austria. Notably, most of the key components are made in-house, such as the escapement with its pallet fork and escape wheel, and the terminal curve of the hairspring is also formed in-house. The A11 was constructed to retain the qualities of the Valjoux, to be robust and easily repairable. And of course, Habring added a lot of improvements. Explaining this here and now would make this video a little bit too complex and too long, so we'll cover it in an article on the website. But good to note, the A11 was the perfect base for all of Habring's favorite complications like the monopusher chronograph, the split second, the foudroyant and the jumping second. The A11B was the base time-only movement. The A11S comes with a jumping second. The A11F comes with a foudroyant and the A11C is a chronograph. And that is a movement that we know quite well at Monochrome, since it was the one that powered our very first Montre de Souscription, a gorgeous salmon-colored sector dial monopusher chronograph that was released in 2021. This was only the starting point for our shared adventure with Habring. The Montre Souscription 1 was sold out very fast and still is to this day a watch that's highly appreciated by the brand's fans. 2 years later we teamed up once more with Habring, and this time to contribute to a noble cause. Together with Maria and Richard we created a unique version of our salmon chronograph equipped with a rattrapante movement in this case, in a small 38.5mm case. This watch was sold by Philips Auctions in 2023 for over 30,000 Swiss francs, with all the proceeds of the sale donated to the Save the Children NGO, something that I'm actually quite proud of. Thanks for watching. I hope you will enjoy this Montre de Souscription as much as we do, and I hope to catch you for the next video.